Hello there my music lovers, I'm Josh from Audiophile Heaven and today we are having a look at the Violectric HPA V340. This is made by Lake People and it is one of the best headphone amplifiers you can get right now, and it even has balanced and pre-amplifier features. So let's get down with the unboxing. This is the actual HPA V340 unit. It is quite heavy, as you can see. It has most of the weight on the front part, and it also leans heavier on the right front part than the rest of the build, where the volume potentiometer is. The volume potentiometer actually is not smooth in its motion. It does clicks and it moves. You can feel where it is moving. You cannot really hear it, even if I place it next to the mic. I actually have a 3.5mm to 6.3mm adapter attached because I'm using this one with IEMs too. It is basically made for hard to drive, heavy headphones. It is made for stuff where you really want the best amplifier you can get, but in practice it has such low noise that you can actually drive IEMs and headphones with it as well. The front of the unit has the volume controller here. It has the mute and RCA selector switch, and it has an output switch between line, head and both. It is interesting to have this option. I actually use it as a preamplifier as well when driving the speakers I have in the back, and I have used it as a headphone amplifier for most of the time because I prefer it as a headphone amplifier. As a preamplifier it has a really clean and natural sound, but the magic happens with its headphone outputs. Speaking of headphone outputs, it has two 6.3mm headphone outputs and one fully balanced XLR output and a power switch at the front. Looking at the back of the unit, we have the power input. We have two selectors for the headphone amp pre-gain. This is an option that basically dictates how much pre-gain it applies. And we have the RCA input, two sets of inputs, one RCA output, one pre or post signal, and two XLR balanced outputs with 3 pins each. This is a really heavy unit, it's fatiguing me to hold it, which means that it is very stable on your desk. It has rubber and a soft material on its feet. It also is pretty scratch resistant because I have placed some things on top of it and it did not gather any scratches. The usage is actually not quite as straightforward as you have may expected, because you need to follow some very specific rules to take full advantage of it. When using the headphone amp pre-gain, I really suggest you to set it to the minimum you can work with and to set your DAC to the maximum volume you can work with. This is because the HPA V340 is very sensitive and it will pick up the quality of the DAC. For example, if the DAC is noisy, it will pick up on that noise, and when you turn the volume up, it will pick up on that volume and you will hear some noise in the background. You really need a very clean and quiet sounding DAC. You need something that does not have distortion and then something that does not have noise. When using multiple DACs, I've noticed, for example, with the Mytek Brooklyn DAC Plus, that the sound was much cleaner and it did not have noise if I used the optical input compared to the USB input. So the Mytek Brooklyn DAC Plus tends to have a very noisy USB input, and you are better if you are using the optical input. The same can be said about other DACs, and for most of my experience with the HPA V340, I have used it together with either the Cyrus One Cast, which I have in the back, or together with the Astel and Kern A and Ultima CP2000T. Both of them have a clean sound, but the CP2000T has less noise on the DAC output, and overall I do think that this is a very interesting headphone amplifier. I keep calling it headphone amplifier despite it being a pre too, and I suspect a lot of people will purchase it as a pre. I actually had a very good friend who always told me, George, you should actually get and listen to a Lake People product. They are awesome. And at that point they were not available to me because I could not get one to review, and I could not listen to his advice much sooner than this. I regret not listening to one of their products before. I actually have some tips that the director of the company changed recently, and the director actually used to work with Ultrason. So the director of Ultrason changed, and I have no idea who the current director of Ultrason is. Anyways, Ultrason are very hard to get a hold of, so for now I guess I am not going to review any Ultrason headphones, which is sad. They were good headphones, they made interesting products, but yeah, now the Lake People comes. In terms of driving power, the HPA V340 is able to drive pretty much everything under the sun, starting with the HiFiMan Aria Stealth. Sivga Peacock is drivable out of it, even something like the HiFiMan HA6SA, Roson Array D0, any single headphone you can think of, the HPA V340 is able to drive and drive really well. Comparing it to something like the Wells Milo, for example, the Wells Milo has like a little bug or design bug where when you switch the volume, if you are in between two volume steps, you can hear the sound at the maximum. So it goes poop, 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 until you reach the maximum volume. And that, I think, is a slight inconvenience. I have not noticed such a behavior with the Violectric HPA 340, and this has proper German quality. Speaking of its quality, I actually have the manuals here, and the manuals have all the internal diagrams of the amplifier inside, which is interesting. Only a German company could have done this. Like, lay out every single component. They are confident that no other company can steal it and make something as good for less money, which is good because it makes you feel like you are having a very proper price-performance ratio product here. It also has some configurability on the inside, but I have not had time to do that. I may play with it when doing the full written review. I may end up opening it. We have a maximum load on both channels of 5 watts of power on the headphone output, which is impressive. And we have a lot of diagrams inside the manual. You can see that this is a very proper looking manual. This is not made for marketing actually, and I am surprised by it. The company Violectric does not rely on their marketing to sell. They rely on the quality of their products, and that is something to take into account. They don't really rely on many reviews either. They really rely on the sole quality of their products, and this is why they are so loved by music lovers. This is why their products are so impressive and why everyone is running to purchase them, because they are not one of those normal audio companies that do a lot of investment in the market and then the products are disappointing. With Violectric, the products are amazing and the marketing can be disappointing. For example, you can't really find the same information online easily. Like, this is information you get as someone who purchased the product, and I feel that is pretty cool. Like, I appreciate that. I appreciate them offering something to the buyer, not necessarily to the prospect buyer. It may make purchasing one of their products a difficult decision, but on comparison, I really think that you are getting the best price performance ratio you could get. All in all, this has to be the best made headphone amplifier ever. Like, the best made. When I am saying the best made, I am talking about build quality. Like look at this. This is metallic. It has a very thick plating to avoid interference, and the company itself states that using the balanced connector is going to give you a better overall sonic quality than using the single-ended connector, both for headphone and for using the two XLR outputs at the back. Plus, the company has some funny but actually true remarks on it. For example, they insist that you must unplug the amplifier if you want to make any modifications on the inside, and since it has a switch on the inside that you can switch for a different sound, that is good to know. Like, it is good to remind people to not leave something turned on. I did a booba where I actually burned myself and burned the amplifier with an old Burson Play unit because I wanted to exchange the operational amplifiers or the op-amps, and I replaced them, and when replacing them I actually put them the wrong way in and they burned and it smelled like smoke for a really long time. I am pretty sure that I mentioned it in an older video, but yeah, it is a good moment to mention it. Don't open this unit if you don't need to. If you are satisfied with it, don't open it to play with the sound settings on the inside. The HPA V340 needs very little power to drive pretty much anything. Like, for example, I'm using it for the first 2, 3, 4 clicks for most things. Like, even headphones, even full-sized headphones sound plenty loud, like at this volume, like at the first few clicks. But even at the first few clicks, it has 0 channel imbalance and it just sounds awesome. It's just the sound is so impressive. Speaking of the sound, this is natural sounding, but at the same time it has an extreme amount of detail. It has a huge soundstage, both in width and in depth. The soundstage is very deep. It is very well rounded. There is a ton of instrument separation. The instrument separation is actually one of the best parts about it, but it combines something that I'm not exactly sure how it does that. Just like the Wells Milo, it tends to draw the best of both the the tube world and the solid state world. It has the quality, the control, the authority, as well as the overall precision of a solid state amplifier, but somehow it manages to have the warmth, the overall passion, the overall emotion, and the overall expression of a tube amplifier. It is able to draw the best of both worlds without actually having tubes inside, and that is a good thing because most hybrid designs do not have this advantage. I mean, I've tested a lot of entry-level options that have both tubes and solid state parts, and they tend to sound a bit disappointing in reality, while the HPA V340 doesn't promise anything. Like, the company just promises that it is an excellent headphone amplifier and preamplifier. They don't really say anything about the sound, and that is cool because the sound is so natural and so impressive. It has so much nuance, so much control over any single headphone out there that you wouldn't believe it if they told you that it is that great. Like, I wouldn't believe a company if they told me our headphone amplifier is the best. Like, I don't really take such statements, but with something like this, you hear it, you know it's the best, and you have to tell others that it is the best. This is the fun part about it. I feel the need to tell you how impressive it is. I want to share my knowledge of it with you. I have tested it with both more pricey and more affordable interconnects. I did not notice a big difference in quality, so you can use any decent interconnect you have, like a $30 to $100 interconnect. I do not recommend chipping out and using a $1 interconnect. It is going to have some interference on the wire. Use something shielded and don't overdo it. I have tested it with multiple DACs. I have tested it with multiple headphones. At the end of the day, I would say that you can drive EMs with it, and I have used it with EMs like the Campfire Holocene, Campfire Ara, Campfire Mammoth, Unique Melody Mest Mark II. I've used it with headphones too, like the HiFiMan Araya Stealth, HiFiMan Deva Pro, Roson RAD0, Sivga Peacock, Sivga SV021. That is a new headphone. I'm probably not going to make a video about the SV021 because I feel like it is a bit redundant. I feel like they are a bit too affordable for a video review. Those videos take a lot of time and a lot of effort from a team made of multiple people. So if you could donate something to help us to our cause, to help us promote more videos, to help us put more content out there, we would be really grateful. If you could also give a like to this video and press subscribe to Audiophile Heaven, it would also help motivate us and make better content. Don't forget, you can always tell me how to make better content in the comments if there is something that you want served more, for example, more b-rolls or more sound comparisons or more sonic details. Anything that you want, please tell me in the comment section. At the end of the day, this is not a cheap headphone amplifier, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the build quality. You can feel it in the attention they gave to every single detail of it. You can feel that this is made to be the ultimate headphone amplifier. It is made to be one of those really high-end headphone amplifiers. It is not made to cheap out. It is made to experience the Lake people and Violectric companies. It is made for quality. It is made as a statement in engineering and as a statement in sound. The sound is going to be really natural, really wide, very controlled and authoritative. It is going to control every single headphone you have. It is going to have a deep and satisfying bass. It is going to be mostly natural in terms of presentation. It doesn't really have much of a coloration in either direction. It is not bright, it is not dark, it is not too smooth. It is just perfectly natural. It is so transparent that it is hard to describe that transparency. Like, you can't really hear that it is running, but you can hear that the sound is really detailed and clean and natural. You can hear that it is exactly as it should be. The headphones become more windows towards music than they become headphones with a colored signature. I hope that this video has been helpful to you. I hope we'll see each other really soon, and I hope you have the loveliest of weeks in there. Bye bye.